jump straight into the discussion. So here are my C-driven predictions. Number one, convergence. I predict that although we'll have multiple states, that they will largely start mimicking the approach of something like California. It's starting to get just too painful. And between the two California laws, you have something that's essentially getting equivalent to GDPR. So although it seems like a growingly hybrid environment, a lot of these are converging to the same principles. And I actually think as part of that, there's a good chance, I'll predict, that California could be adequate under GDPR, which is interesting, right? Because you might end up like Travis, with California leading the way, getting certified as a adequate country. I mean, an adequate, not obviously country, an adequate regime ahead of the rest of the United States. And you might have noticed under the law, you can self-certify under California, which would simplify a lot for all of those companies that are trying to get qualified. So that convergence is my number one. Number two, it's really going to be about the consumer. I really think a lot of the movements I'm seeing that are driven by, it's driven in my view by companies that want to do more and want to earn the trust. I think it's starting to move back where I'm watching the larger enterprises think more about the privacy user experience. I think you're going to see that driving the cookie issues and the consent and preference management infrastructure. Because to actually do what a consumer's asking from all the different channels, it takes a bunch of infrastructure, and it means that on the back end, you have to understand your data and what you can do with it. And that's a lot of hard stuff built into it. But I think if I'm watching all of the leaders go into the FTC, all of the focus in California, all of the focus in the States, I think the consumer's view and the reasonable expectation of what a person, a human being, thinks should happen with their data is going to get elevated everywhere. And people are going to really start thinking about that on the regulatory side. I agree completely with Travis. When the regulators start pounding at it from the consumer view, it starts moving things. And I think that has a good chance to drive a lot this year.